Shalawama, Shalawama. I'm DrYasapa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to be here. This is Astrotheology number 15, and we're going to discuss the seven candles. Let me repeat that. We're going to discuss the seven churches, the seven candles, and also the seven stars. And all of this culminates in the meaning, the astrological, astronomical meaning of the blood of the covenant. The blood of the covenant. All right, y'all? We're going to look at the astrotheological meaning of the blood of the covenant. So everything we discuss today leads up to understanding what that blood of the covenant means. All right, y'all? So let's give it a few minutes. I'd like for you all to call some people, let them know that we were about to do this live stream. Some phenomenal information is going to be delivered in this live stream, all right? Has to do with the blood of the covenant. What's the blood of the covenant? That's the new covenant, right? That is the new covenant. The blood of the covenant is the new covenant. The new covenant is the basis of Hebrew Israelite faith. It is the basis of the Christian faith, right? The blood, Christ's blood, given when he was crucified or hung on a stake or hung on a tree, however you see it in your doctrine. All right, so this is an important live stream. This is a very important live stream. All right, y'all. So let me start off with all of the thank yous as usual. Like to say thanks, and I appreciate everyone who has subscribed to the streaming 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, to everyone who has supported us by ordering the 911 Ibaryath Rescue International Edition book on Amazon. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who has supported us by Cash App donation /investment, also on paypal.me /Zion Law School. So thanks to all of our supporters. Thanks to everyone who has been buying our books. Those links are in the description area. All of the links for everything we talk about are in the description area of this video. So thank you, everybody. Much, much appreciated. We do need it to keep going. And then last but not least, thanks to everybody who support us in the comment section. I can't say how much I appreciate you, and I'm thankful for you guys doing that in the comments section. It really increases the value and the quality of these videos. Cannot say that enough. All right, y'all. So call some people, text some people. A call is better. Those people that you care about first, and let them know that we're about to talk about the astrological, astronomical / astrotheological meaning of the blood of the covenant. This is Christ's blood shed upon the cross, Christ's blood shed for your salvation. All right, Christ shed his blood for your salvation, and that's what we're going to talk about now. The author asserts that that's a fantasy, a fairy tale, right? That's the assertion. So let's get into the story. But first, let me say this: we have to keep in mind, as the author said, these stories, each of these stories, they have an astrological meaning. All right, this is when the author says that the apostles have a double tongue, meaning a cloven tongue. You remember that? The apostles have a cloven tongue. It means that they are double speaking. They're saying something and you think it has one meaning, but it actually has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meanings. Okay. In this case, it has an astronomical meaning and a gospel meaning, which is the meaning you know. All right. So keep these things in mind. Keep these things in mind. We're looking at this scientifically by observing nature, natural phenomena. We're not dealing in any way with any type of religion, spookism, or anything like that. We're just dealing with nature and then observing or identifying, pointing out how nature has been remixed into a gospel story. How what occurs in nature has been remixed, in this case, remixed into the blood of the covenant, the 7 churches, the 7 candlesticks, and the 7 stars. All right. So I'm done with my introduction. The call-in number is 530-554-9419. So call in. Let me know what you think. What's on your mind regarding the topic. All right. 530-554. 530-554-9419. Let me put it on the screen, y'all. Give me a second. Oops, hold on, y'all. Put this on the screen. And by the way, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School, for those of you who don't know me. Okay. I am Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. All right. 1 second. Okay, so here we are. Call-in number is scrolling at the bottom, 530-554-9419. Now, remember, when you call in, your calls, your comments, your expressions make this video presentation much, much better than it would ever be without you. So keep that in mind. All right. Don't be shy. Give us a call. Okay. Somebody, including me, might benefit from what you're talking about. Okay. I got to pull up the, I gotta open up the PDF, y'all. So give me a second. But while I do that, I would appreciate it if you help a brother out by letting people know that we're live. Y'all know that they shadow ban. They shadow ban us here. All right. So you calling people and letting people know is really, really important. So the chapter why is it important? Because YouTube is not pushing the video, right? Y'all see how few people show on the live stream, but yet people are telling me that people are seeing the videos and that the message is getting out, but the number of people on the live streams is always very low. So go figure, right? All right, so we're on part 2 of Raising the Devil. The book is The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. The free link to the PDF is in the description area of this video, and the links to all of our offerings, courses, and books, all links are in the description area of the video. Okay, so you're going to find this chapter on page 81. Okay, the chapter begins on page 81, but we're going to begin this live stream on page 80. We're going to begin this live stream on page 80, page 90. Wow, page 90. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off in yesterday's live stream, which was number 14. So we're going to pick up on page 90. Wow. Okay, so the last thing we talked about in live stream number 14, which was astrotheology, the debriefing. So this is a debriefing, right? We're going to discuss that. This is supposed to be a discussion and not me, not me giving a presentation or a lecture. So y'all call in, okay? I don't want to have to do that. Let me show the document here. Let me show the PDF. Let's pull the PDF. Sometimes y'all, YouTube, for whatever reason, won't show the images. It won't show my screen share, even though it'll share through the live. I looked at a couple videos and the screen share was not on the video after the live. Now, I don't know how that works, but let me just make sure that the live stream is working, that we got sound. All right, give me a second. One moment. All right. Almost ready. So y'all make sure you like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the video. Subscribe to our channel. So, all right. So we're ready to go. We're ready to go, y'all. All right. So make sure if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the video. Subscribe to our channel. It's really important. It helps us a lot, more than you know. If you are a YouTube creator, you know that the likes, the shares, and the subscriptions, the comments, all of these things are important to get your video seen by other people. All right. All right. So we're going to begin the discussion on page 90. All right. So we left off in number 14, the debriefing number 14. We left off talking about Lazarus, right? Lazarus, and we're going to deal with this a little bit today. Lazarus being dead in the earth for 4 days. Lazarus was dead in the earth for 4 days. Okay. Now we discussed that. We discussed that occurred on December 21st or 22nd. Let's say December 22nd, which is when the sun is at its lowest point in the sky, which is in the south. Okay, y'all, that's the south. That's the south. Now, so December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, that's 3 days, right? The Christ figure, JC, the Christ figure, he was also in the earth for 3 days, right? He was in the belly of the earth for 3 days, and so was Jonah. Jonah was in the belly of the big fish for 3 days. However, Lazarus was in the belly for 4 days. Okay, so again, December 22nd, 1 day. December 23rd, 2 days. December 24th, 3 days. Now, December 24th at 12 midnight becomes December 25th, which is Christmas Day now, right? Lazarus was resurrected on December 25th. That's the 4th day. That's the 4th day. So Lazarus was in the grave for 4 days. JC, the Christ figure, he was in the belly of the earth for 3 days. And when he was resurrected, he then called Lazarus. Lazarus, come on out. Lazarus, come on out. And Lazarus came out, all wrapped up in the burial wrappings. He was cold, right? He was freezing cold. Of course. Why? Because he didn't have any heat, right? The heat comes from the sun. Remember, man is a generator of heat. What is the source of that heat? It is the sun, sun. That furnace inside you that produces heat. That is the sun, sun. All right, go back and review live stream number 14 and perhaps number 13. I don't remember. All right, so you can correlate that with Psalms 82:6. And ye are gods, ye are powers, all of you sons, SON, of the Most High. And the Christ figure said the same, quoting from Psalms, right? Lazarus had none of that energy. When he came out, he was cold, he was shivering. Of course he's cold and he's shivering. Of course he's wrapped. He's wrapped, in this case, in the wrappings of burial, but he was wrapped from head to toe. In the winter, you were wrapped from head to toe in a hat and a coat, pants, boots, and socks and gloves, scarf. Everybody see that? All right. So now let's move forward. We're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that in this discussion, y'all. The call-in number is 530-554-9419. Okay, so don't leave me hanging. Somebody call in, break the ice. Y'all help me out. All right, okay. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. All right. I asked for somebody to call, and it is a friend of mine calling. So it's not to do with this, all right? All right, so give me a second here. Let me find my place. I lost my place. All right, so now let's deal with the next topic at hand. We didn't deal with this, but we'll get to it. We'll get to the seven churches real quick, okay? We just need to cover a few other things to build up to this, okay? So now we get into the discussion. This is all on page 90. We get into the discussion about scorpions, right? So who are these scorpions that are mentioned in Revelations that have stings in their tails? Who are they? We're going to identify the scorpions in Revelation that have stings in their tail. So we're also going to deal with what? The seven churches, the seven stars, and the seven candlesticks. All of these coming from Revelation, right? We're going to deal with that today. So first, these seven scorpions who have stings in their tails. What are the stings for? They're given stings so that they could hurt the earth for 5 months. The scorpions are going to hurt the earth for 5 months. Now, y'all know in churches, they don't deal with the book of Revelations, do they? There's a reason why they don't deal with it, because it's highly astrological. And if they deal with that, they're going to tip you off. They're going to tip you off that what? That the Gospels are a remix of astrology or natural phenomena occurring in the heavens. That's why they don't deal with it, okay? That's exactly why, because they don't want to tip you off. They tip you off, you might leave, and then they're going to be broke and have to get a job. That should be clear as day, right, y'all? Who wants to work amongst that group of people when you can get in other people's pocket just by lying to them? All right, by lying to them, making fools out of them. So here we are dealing with scorpions, okay? They have stings in the tail. They have stings in their tail so that they could hurt the earth for 5 months. 5 long months. So what are these 5 months? What are these 5 months? Well, scorpions, when you think astronomically, scorpions are what? That's the constellation Scorpio, right? Scorpio, right? The constellation Scorpio, or the scorpion of October. The scorpion of October is followed by what? The miserable wintry months of November, December, January, and February. So count them. October 1, okay? December, let me repeat that. October is the 1st. November is the 2nd. December is the 3rd. January is the 4th, and February is the 5th month. Scorpio has stings in its tail to hurt the earth for 5 months. These are the 5 wintry months of the year: October, November, December, January, and February. It gets cold. It gets miserably cold, doesn't it? All the snow, sometimes it's heavy snow, it's wet, it freezes, it's miserable. People get depressed because there's not enough sunlight. People start to commit suicide, steal, robbing and stealing, right? All in an effort to survive. Wild animals are out. You might get eaten by a wild animal, right? Because they're out more often. And if you're out in a rural area, or these days in the US, even in the cities, the wild animals are coming into the cities because they don't have anything to eat, right? So these are the miserable wintry months of the year. There are 5 of them. October, which is what? Scorpio, the scorpion of October, November, December, January, and then February. Those are the 5 months that the scorpions who have been given stings in their tails are allowed to hurt the earth by stinging the earth. They sting October, they sting November, they sting December, they sting January, and they sting February with their tails, injecting what? The misery of winter. Everybody see that? The misery of winter. So that's the astronomical correlation, all right? Or the astronomical remix, okay, rather the gospel remix of that natural phenomena, the gospel remix of that natural phenomena. Again, this is an example of what? The cloven tongue of the apostle. In this case, the apostle John. His cloven tongue, his double tongue, where he told you what? A gospel fairy tale, but he didn't tell you that it had another meaning, an astrological meaning. All right. So he made a fool of you, according to the author, through what? Double speak. And that double tongue, that is what? That is an example of black magic, a spell. He cast a spell on you. He cast a spell on everybody who reads the story about scorpions or even about the book of Revelation. This is how it all adds up, okay? These incantations, these spells, these are charms, all of which are intended to capture your imagination so that they can then go in and enslave you through what? Through indoctrination, so that you believe these stories because you feel what? You feel sorry for the Christ figure who's the hero of the story. All right, so that's what it is, y'all. That's what it is. Now let's move on. All right, let's move on. Okay, we'll move on to the next point. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention something that's in the paragraph. So since we're dealing with December, okay, we're dealing with the wintry months, right? So what do we know about the wintry months? Well, the sun enters into the gates of hell into what? In September, somewhere around September 29th. That's the entrance of the gates of hell. Everybody got that? So now we're dealing what? We're dealing with hell. And hell, astronomically, is winter. Everybody got that? December 21st, 22nd, that is the bottomless pit, right? The bottomless pit. It has no bottom. It's infinite. All right, so now let's continue. Now we move into the 7 churches. We're at the 7 churches. There are 7 churches. So what are these 7 churches, right? What are the 7 churches? In short, the 7 churches are nothing more than the natural phenomena. All right. So let's make the connection. The scorpion of October has stings in their tails to hurt the earth for 5 months. So now subtract 5 from 12 and you get what? You get 7. Subtract 5 months from 12 months and you get 7 months. So now what are the 7 churches? Keep it in mind. What are the 7 churches? Well, the 7 churches are relating to the 7 remaining months. When you subtract 5 months from 12 months, you get 7 months left. These are the 7 summer months, or the 7 warm months of the year. Everybody got that? The 7 warm months of the year. That would be March, April, May, June, July, August, and September. After that, you go into winter, which is October, right? Everybody got that? So this is what we're dealing with: natural phenomena. Natural phenomena. Okay? So now let's get into it. These 7 months each have a zodiac sign, right? Each of those 7 months, beginning in March, has a zodiac sign. For example, March is Aries the Ram. This is the Lamb of Gad, Gade, or the Lamb of capital God, right? So each one of those 7 months is a zodiac sign. Okay, that's the first thing. Now let's get into it. Now remember, all of this is going to culminate. It's going to culminate in the blood of the covenant. Christ shed blood on the cross, his crucifixion. All of this is building up to explain that. Why? Because the entire Christian doctrine, the New Testament, is based upon Christ shed blood on the cross. Right, y'all? Right? That's correct. That is correct. But before we get into this, I want to ask y'all, what's the coincidence? What's the coincidence of what we just talked about? The scorpion of October having tails to sting the earth for 5 months, right? And it turns out that there are 5 wintry months, beginning with scorpion. And then the 7 months are the 7 churches. I mean, what's the coincidence? You all can read this on page 90 and 91. All right. What's the coincidence of that happening? Right? Of that explanation. Okay. I won't say my opinion, but you make your own decision. All right. So let me put this up on deck for y'all. We're on page 91 now. All right. Okay, so we're going to move down. The call-in number is 530-554-9419. The call-in number is 530-554-9419. All right. Okay, so let's get into the gospel fairy tale, the theology of it. Okay. So in the words of the Apostle John in the book of Revelation regarding JC the Christ figure, this is what JC the Christ figure says: I am he who holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand and walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. All right, let me repeat that. John, the Apostle John, the double speaking, the double tongue, cloven tongue apostle, says the following regarding JC the Christ figure. Quote, JC the Christ figure, quote, I am he, that is JC the Christ figure, I am he who holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. Y'all got that? And then quote, the next quote, excuse me, quote, the seven churches which are in Asia. Now, what does that mean? Quote, the seven churches which are in Asia. What does it mean? The seven churches that are in Asia literally mean the seven congregations, that is, the seven constellations, the seven holy congregations that are in Asia are literally, are astronomically, the seven constellations of the warm months of the year, beginning with March, ending in September. We counted them earlier. They are seven. All right. So the scorpions, the scorpion of October. All right. These are the wintry months from October to February. Right. And then the seven congregations of Asia, the seven congregations which are in Asia, that is, Asia is the land of the fire, meaning what? Meaning what? The land of the fire, that's where the sun is dominating. The sun is in its ascendant position from March, right, to June 21st, and then it begins to fall, right? It begins to fall, but as it falls, we still have warmth. We still have warmth all the way through September. And then the transition is October. We transition into winter. Everybody see how that works? Asia is the land of fire, meaning the land of the sun, astronomically meaning those months that are dominated or warm, as opposed to those months that are cold, beginning in October. Everybody got that? Clear as day, right? So what's the probability of this just being a coincidence? What's the probability of this being a coincidence, right? What's the probability? So in the kingdom of heaven, the sun is dominated. The kingdom of heaven are those months beginning in March. March is the holy temple of the Lamb of Gad, the holy temple of the Lamb of capital God, March, beginning of spring, right? March 21 is the equinox, the vernal equinox, 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, the holy temple, the reign of the kingdom of the heavens, where you have an equal number or an equal length of daylight and nighttime. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime. Y'all see how this all comes together? So easy to understand. So the kingdom of heaven reigns during the warm months from March to September. After that, you enter into the gates of hell. September 29th, you enter into the gates of hell. There's heaven and there's hell. Everybody see that? There's heaven, which is the kingdom. There's the kingdom of the heaven, March until September. September 29th, Michaelmas Day, that is where the gates of hell have their opening. All right? Okay. Clear as day. Clear as day. What's the probability of this story just being a coincidence? You have to answer that question. Make the decision for yourselves. And what are the candlesticks? What are the candlesticks? Well, candles are light, right? The candles are lights. We light the candle. So these are the fixed fires in the heaven that we call stars, but are actually sun suns. We discussed that in our debriefing number 13, I think, yesterday or the day before. So go back and you can watch that if you want more information on that. All right. So give me a second here. So these are fires, right? Fires in the sky. Okay. The candlesticks are fixed fires in the sky. So what is that telling us? is telling us that they are stars. The candlesticks are stars in their fixed positions, right? They're fixed lights. They're fixed stars, okay? And these fixed stars are what? The sun rotates through its ecliptic. Let me see if I have an image. Well, y'all just imagine this. Well, let me show the image. Give me 1 second. Let me show this. So the sun is going around in its ecliptic. Its ecliptic is what? Its orbit, right? All right, so let's show it. We show this all the time, but let's do it again. Okay, so this is the zodiac, okay? So we see the earth, we see the sun, and we see the zodiac. All right, now there are other stars that are fixed. In fact, there are a total at the time of the writing of this book, and in ancient times, there are believed to be 48 more constellations. Now, constellations are all made up of stars. Stars are suns, S-U-N, right? So they're fires. There are 48 constellations. These are the candlesticks, all right? Let me see if I could find another image to show y'all with something with some stars. So y'all can just imagine that, right? That's pretty easy, right? So there's the 12 constellations that make up the zodiac, but then there are also other constellations in their fixed positions relative to each other. These are the candlesticks, okay? The 7 candlesticks, all right? The fixed stars, or however many. I can't remember how many candles. I think there were 7 candlesticks. I don't remember. All right, so here I found another image. This one is even better, y'all. This is a better image. So let's show these candlesticks. All right. So this is really easy, and it's fun once you get started with it, right? After a while, it just all comes together. So here we see this illustration of all of the zodiacs, and y'all see those little dots in the background? The little dots in the background, these are the candlesticks. All right, now this information, if you want to read up on it, is on page 91. It's on page 91 of the Devil's Pulpit, the free link to the PDF. Well, let me repeat that. The link to the free PDF is at the bottom of the description of this video. So these little dots in the background, these are stars. These are all S-U-N suns. These are the candlesticks. Okay, simple, right? Simple. And the sun travels around the ecliptic annually. Okay, so that's why it says, I'm going to read something. That's why it says, and what are those fixed lights in the midst of which the sun walketh? The midst of which the sun walketh, that would be what? That's its ecliptic, its orbit. Okay, its orbit. All right, now I can show that so you guys can see it, so everybody's clear on this. It's really, really important, scholars, that you learn this information. All right, it's really, really important that you learn it. So let me open it up. Give me 1 second. Let me open this up so I can show you the ecliptic. All right. So remember, the goal, according to the author, is to break the God spell. Break the God spell, meaning that you're no longer ignorant about the astrotheological meaning of the Gospels. All right. All right. So let me zoom in on this. Okay, so now you can see the candlesticks in the background nicely here. Okay, so the yellow line that we're looking at here, this is the elliptic, or the ecliptic rather, the ecliptic. All right, this is the annual orbit of the sun. So the candlesticks in the mist, right? So let me read this again. Page 91. What are those fixed lights in the mist of which the sun walketh? But those congregations or groups of fixed stars, see, congregations mean constellations, groups of fixed stars, those are constellations. There are about 48 of them, through the midst of which lies the sun, the S-U-N, sun's annual course in the zodiac. And here we are. That was page 91. And here we are, all of these fixed stars. Okay, everybody see these fixed stars everywhere around? All right, so that's what it is. Okay, now let's get back to the discussion. Remember, we're going to get into, finally, we're going to get into the seven churches. So what are the seven churches? Remember, the seven churches are the 7 warm months of the year, beginning with March and ending in September. All right, that is the kingdom of the heavens. All right, the kingdom of the heavens. Now let's continue. Here are the 7 churches, and everybody, you should know that churches means what? Churches, congregations, or what? Constellations, zodiacs, zodiac signs. One, the first church is Ephesus. The second church is Thyatira. The third church is Philadelphia. The fourth church is Pergamos. The fifth church is Sardis. The sixth church is Smyrna. And the seventh church is Laodicea. Y'all know what's funny? I know a person, a young lady named Laodicea. And I always wondered if her name Laodicea had anything to do with the church of Laodicea, right? It sounds the same, doesn't it? But anyway, that's off topic. So here we are, back to the 7 churches. Now remember, churches are congregations. Congregations are constellations. There's your astrotheology, okay? So we're looking at the gospel remix of what? The gospel remix, the fairy tale, the remix of natural phenomena, these constellations, the natural phenomena, all right? That's the remix. So which constellation is Ephesus? Ephesus is the constellation of the Lamb of Gad. That would be the Lamb of capital G-O-D. That is Ephesus, right? Now, important to note, in my opinion, we're on page 89, that Ephesus, if you look at the Greek word, let me pull it up. Let me stop this and I'll pull it up. I want y'all to see this with your own eyes, as always. Okay, so nobody can deny or act crazy. All right, I'm presenting the information. Y'all do with it what you will. My job is only to give it to you. All right, that's all my job is. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, what to think, especially what to do. All right. So we're in the Devil's Pulpit on page 91. Okay, we're looking at the 7 churches, the 7 constellations, right? The 7 churches, congregations, constellations. Okay, now here is Ephesus, the first church. The first church is the constellation Aries, the Lamb of Gad. Aries, the Lamb of capital G-O-D. Aries is the first of the zodiac, Aries is in March, every March, right? Aries, the ram, the lamb of capital God, the lamb of Gad. Take note, scholars, what else is significant about Aries, the lamb of Gad? Take a look at this. It says from this Greek word, here's that Greek word, upon, y'all see that? Let me highlight it. Oops, hold on. Upon hesis, which is the same as Jesus. Y'all got that? Upon hesis, the same as Jesus, the Galish name of the God of Mars. Of Mars. Now, how many of you knew that? From that Greek word shown there, upon hesis, which is the same as Jesus. What is it? What is hesis? Hesis is the Galish name of the capital God of Mars. There's your mythology. There is your mythology, and another connection with JC, the Christ figure, being what? Being nothing but a pagan deity, a figment of the imagination. According to the author, that's what he is trying to communicate, in my opinion, all right? Now, notice what it says. It says the English name for March comes from the Galish name of the god of March. Y'all see that? Hesis, which is the same as Jesus, which is the Lamb of Gad, the Lamb of capital God. JC, the Christ figure, is the Lamb of capital God in the constellation of Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. Okay, it is the first zodiac sign. Y'all got that? Y'all clear on that? Let's go to the next page. The call-in number is 530-554-9419. All right, 530-554-9419. So y'all call in and say something. I really don't want to give a full lecture. I want to have a discussion. Call in, give me your opinion, tell me what you think. I will not challenge you. That's not my style to challenge people. I'll let you say what you want to say. And if I have a question, it'll be a question only to clarify something or so that I can understand what you mean. All right. But I don't embarrass people or, box with people on the internet. I don't do that kind of thing. All right. So you can call in. You'll be secure. You'll be safe and you'll be comfortable. OK, so don't worry about somebody trying to embarrass you. OK, so anyway, let's continue. All right. We are on page, going to move over to page 92. So the Church of Ephesus, y'all remember the Church of Ephesus is Aries, right? Is the Lamb. All right. So something very strange happens. Something very strange happens every about 2,500 years. There's something called the Precession of the Equinox. Okay. So Aries, let me show it. I almost forgot. I'll show it. I'll try to rotate the page so y'all can see it. Okay, this has to do with the precession of the equinoxes, and you can you can search YouTube, just type in precession of the equinoxes, all right? And then y'all can find out more about it if you want to know more about it, okay? But here it is. This is the page right here that I highlighted. This is the precession of the equinox. And let me see if I'm able to rotate the page. Let's see if I'm able to rotate the page. Oh, they want you to pay for a Oh, well. So y'all go back and reference this page right here where the cursor is. You see that mark at the bottom? That's Aries. That's Aries. This is the bull. That's Taurus. This is Pisces. The next is Gemini. I'm looking at the line at the bottom. So there's two lines. There's one at the bottom, and then there's a top line at the top. Okay, so I'm looking at the line at the bottom. So precession of the equinoxes is this. Now remember, what are equinoxes? Let me show you on the other. Give me 1 second. Y'all like and share the video, please. All right. And call people, tell them to come into the live stream. Okay. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. So let me show you what the equinoxes are. Let me refresh your memory, scholars. So there's the equinox on March 21st. Okay. So equinox, equal length of day and night, equal length of day of night. All right. And then there's the autumn equinox, which is September 23rd or thereabout. Okay. And there's equal what? Equal length of day and night. There's 12 hours a day, 12 hours of night. Why? Because there's 24 hours in a day, right? Okay, so now let's go back to our document. Go back to our PDF, and we'll continue. All right. All right. So here we are. So here is the equator. All right, the celestial equator. Here in the west is where the sun in the on March 24th, as it's, so here's the south, right? Y'all see the south where the cursor is? December 21st, 22nd. This is the bottomless pit, okay, y'all? The sun springs forward. The sun springs forward. The sun ascends upward. The sun springs forward. It ascends upward. It springs forward. Hence, we go from winter to spring. And then the sun crosses or passes over the equator, right? The sun crosses or passes over the equator. So whenever the sun crosses or passes over the equator after winter, that's always called spring. Always called spring, okay? But the sun doesn't cross the equator or pass over the equator, rather, in the same constellation every year, okay? The only way that can happen is how? There are 12 constellations, so the sun is crossing or passing over the equator somewhere around the 11th zodiac, right? It has to be the 11th zodiac, okay? So it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it crosses over the equator. It's more like crossing over the equator at the 11th. So what's the effect of that? And I know this sounds ambiguous, y'all, but you can look on YouTube, just search precession of the equinoxes, and you'll find this out. So what this is saying is this. What this is saying is this. The first zodiac is Aries, the second Pisces, the third, the first is Aries, the second is Taurus, the bull, the third is Pisces, so on and so forth. I'm at the bottom of the line. That will not change. That will not change, okay? That doesn't change. But every about 2,500 years, the constellation that's occupying the first position, or the first position, which is Aries, right? This constellation will change. Okay, it will change. So in times past, before the Christ figure, before there ever was a Christ figure, before there ever was a Christ figure, Taurus the bull was in position 1. Taurus the bull was in position 1. So at the end of winter, the sun would pass over the equator, hence the Jewish Passover, would pass over the equator in the constellation or zodiac sign of Taurus the bull. Y'all got that? The sun would pass over the equator to begin spring, and the constellation at that time was Taurus the bull. This explains why in the Old Testament, also in India, there was worship of the bull. For example, the Egyptian worshipped Apis the bull, right? The Egyptians worshipped Apis the bull. And the Hindus venerated who? The cow. The cow, right? That's why. Because at that time, the sun would pass over the equator in the constellation Taurus the bull. Clear? Christianity is now here. Well, let me repeat that. Next, due to the progression of the equinoxes, that means they're moving backward or counterclockwise, okay? I'll show you that. Now, Pisces is in position number 1. And what's position number 1? Position number 1 is Aries. So now it's Pisces. We're in the Christian era, right? Christianity is represented by 2 fishes. Y'all see that? Christianity is represented by 2 fishes. And it's also interesting, right? Also interesting that the Dogon is the fish god that the Catholic Church venerates. Okay, we went through this 2, 3, 4 live streams ago. Everybody see that? Everybody see that? The Dogon is the fish god. So make your correlation. When the Egyptians were in power, as I mentioned, the sun passed over the equator in Taurus, right? In Taurus, and the Egyptians venerated Apis the bull. The Hindus venerated the cow, and according to the record, our ancestors, the house of Yasharallah, made a golden calf. They made a golden calf. All right. So that's where that story is coming from. But let me share something. Before I go, let me go down some. Okay. So here, y'all see this image at the top. This is Pisces. This is Pisces, right? Pisces of January. Not Pisces. I'm sorry. Aquarius, the water bearer. This is Aquarius, the water bearer, the constellation of February, right? And so that's why you'll see, because of retrograde movement, backward movement, you'll see Pisces. You'll see Pisces right here. Okay. You'll see Pisces in position 1 now, which has to do with everything that we just talked about. All right. So the thought that I had, I lost my thought. I lost my thought because I'm doing too many things at one time, trying to go back and forth between all of these screens. All right. But hopefully it'll come back to me and I can share it with you all. Right. Okay. So let's continue forward. So you want to go to this page and then finally YouTube search Precession of the Equinoxes, which is just counterclockwise movement. All right. Of the constellations relative to the position of the North Star. But y'all will see it. Okay. Y'all will see it. So let's go back to where we were. Page 91, y'all. Go back to page 91. Okay, so what we're building up to the covenant of blood, right? We're building up to the covenant of blood, all right? Which is why y'all are involved in Christianity, right? You want to be saved. You want to enter into Christ's kingdom, right? You want salvation. And that salvation is coming from the blood of the Christ, right? So we're on page 92, y'all, not 91, 92. All right, so follow along, please. And I'm going to increase this since we're going to be on this for a hot minute. So let me increase this to 130. All right. There's a whole lot on these 2-3 pages, these next 2-3 pages. All right. So let me go back here. All right. So here you'll see scholars precession of the equinoxes. All right. So go back after this video and then just YouTube search it. Precession of the equinoxes. All right. Now we're talking about. Let's go here. Well, let me start here. We're talking about Ephesus, right? Ephesus. So Christ threatens to remove Ephesus from its position, right? Maybe I should show. You know what? Let me show the verses. Let me open up that. I'll show the verses, okay? 7 churches, so we can. It'll be easier for me too, right? To keep track of where I am. All right, so let me find these Bible verses, and then we can just read it, and I don't have to worry about keeping up with where I'm at. Okay, I'm pulling the scriptures up, and of course they're giving me commentary instead of the verses. All right. Let me see. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, so they're showing me. That's the one thing I wish the author would have put these scriptures in, so that you don't have to do a whole bunch of shifting mentally. You know what I mean? You don't have to do a whole bunch of shifting mentally when he goes from various scriptures. You don't have to think about it, right? If he would have put them in, all of them. So Revelation chapter 2. So let's go to Revelation chapter 2. All right. Hold on. Revelation chapter 2. And then we'll get these Bible verses, and it'll be much easier for me to read and make these points. All right. So I'm opening it up. Let me share my screen. All right. Hopefully we can get this done. Okay, so here we are. Revelation. Okay, so here we are. All right. To the angel of the Church of Ephesus write, these are the words of him who holds the 7 stars in his right hand. That's the 7. Oh, wow. They just come right out and say it in the NIV. Okay. So they were calling this the 7 candlesticks in other versions. So they come right out and tell you stars in the NIV, who holds the 7 stars in his right hand and walks among the 7 golden lampstands. All right. Now we know what those are. We looked at those. Candlesticks, right? Lampstands or candlesticks. 2, I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people, right? Why is that? Why is that? Because the vernal equinox is righteousness, it's justice, right? It is righteousness and justice at all costs. There is no inequity, no unevenness. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime at the spring and the fall equinoxes, right? All the other days of the year, there is unevenness, there is inequity, there is unevenness, unrighteousness, sin. Why? Because there's an uneven number or the length of day and night are uneven, right? There's either more hours of daylight than there are of night, or there's more hours of night than they are of daylight. Y'all see that? I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people. Right. That's your equinoctial points. Those are your equinoxes, rather. Spring and autumn equinox. That you have tested those who claim to be apostles, but are not, and you have found them false, right? So that's the justice, the righteousness, unwavering justice, unwavering righteousness. You have persevered and have endured hardships for my name, right? And have not grown weary. Verse 4, yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first. Consider how far you have fallen. Consider how far you have fallen. From June 24th, to 25th, the SUN sun begins to what? Fall. It falls into fall or autumn. And it continues to fall into what? It falls as low as it can fall, which is December 21st, 22nd, the winter solstice. All right? Okay. Repent and do the things that you did at first. What are the things that he did at first? That means ascend, spring forward. Ascend, spring forward. That's where you get what? The spring equinox. You become a righteous person. There's no inequity, there's no unevenness in you. You are the just one. You have risen from lower self behavior to higher self behavior. And as you ascend to June 21st, which is the Christ, the highest level of ascension, right? The highest level of ascension. So what does this have to do with chakras? You can do some research into that yourself. Christ is the oil that rises up. Christ is that oil that rises up. All right. Now let's continue. Repent and do the things that you did at first, which is ascend from the lower self, right? The lower self, and ascend up by doing what? Pursuing justice, righteousness. So what is this saying in short, from a lawful point of view? Be honorable. Follow natural law, be honorable. And in your following natural law, which is being honorable, right? That's the moral. This is the moral side of the physical phenomena of nature being described here. As you ascend, as you spring upward, you begin to act honorably. You act in harmony with nature. You're moving from lower self to higher self behavior. Okay? And then you enter into the holy temple of capital God, where you are a completely unwavering, righteous person. You are just, you are the just one. And then you ascend further, what? Until you become the Christ. All right, everybody sees that. Now look at number 3. Look at number 3. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, we're not. What are number 3? We're at number 4. Verse number 4. If you do not repent, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place. Now that lampstand is again what? That lampstand is the congregation. All right. What congregation? The Lamb of capital G-A-D, the Lamb of capital G-O-D. This is Aries, 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 Aries the ram. Aries the ram, right? That is where the holy temple is for all the reasons I just mentioned. Now let's continue. We're going to move forward. We're going to move forward. So that's your astronomical explanation of the first church, Ephesus, okay? So now remember, this is relating to the precession of the equinoxes, okay? So before Christianity, well, we are currently in what? The constellation Pisces. Spring starts with Pisces, March 21st. But again, in summary, before Pisces, spring started with the bull, okay? Taurus, the bull. But now, due to the precision of the equinoxes, we move one constellation back. And now today we're in Pisces. What's next? The next constellation that's coming is Aquarius, right? So let me show y'all so y'all can have a little better understanding of what the precession of the equinox is. So this video is not about the precession of the equinoxes, right? But I want to show you at least so you have an idea what it is. All right, so here it is. I want to show you how we're moving counterclockwise backward. All right. Give me a second. I think we're almost there. Okay, here we are. Here we are. So remember, spring starts when the sun, when the S-U-N sun, when the sun passes over the equator. And here's the equator. Y'all see the vertical line right here. This is the celestial equator or Earth's equator. This is south, winter solstice, north, summer solstice. This is west. Okay, so when the sun crosses over or passes over the equator after winter, we call that spring. So before the common era, okay, before the common era, let's say before 0 BC, before 0 or before 1 AD, it was bull. The sun would pass over the equator in the constellation Taurus, the bull. Okay, but now, since 1 CE, the Christian era, the sun is now passing over the equator in the constellation of Pisces. That's why you see this fish here. So now at the end of Pisces, let me move down so I can show y'all. At the end of Pisces, due to the precession of the equinoxes, this is Aquarius. Y'all see Aquarius? Aquarius, the water bearer. You see his container. You see the water flowing out. When we enter the age of Aquarius, spring will begin, or the sun will pass over the equator, and the constellation here will be Aquarius, the water bearer. So the sun will pass over the equator, and it will be in the constellation of what? Aquarius. So that's pretty much what the precision of the equinoxes is. All right, so now let's go back to page 92 so we can continue. Again, to learn more about the precision of the equinoxes, just search it on YouTube and y'all will find it. All right, you can learn. There's plenty of stuff about it on YouTube. Okay, so now let's go to the second constellation, which is Thyatira. Thyatira. All right, so I'll put that at the top of the page. Y'all see it, number 2, Thyatira. Thyatira. So constellation, for those of you who are just coming here, churches are congregations, congregations and churches are constellations. There is your astronomical reference, okay? In other words, you have the physical phenomena that exist in nature, that's real, that's tangible, a constellation being expressed in the gospel story as a church, or represented as a church, as a church, as a congregation. Y'all follow me? It is actually physically a constellation. So what constellation is Thyatira? Thyatira is Gemini, the twins of May. Thyatira is the constellation, the twins of May. So how do we know that Thyatira is the twins of May? Why? Because it is associated with frankincense. It is associated with offering frankincense to the sun. All right? It is associated with offering frankincense to the sun. That's how we know it is associated with, excuse me. Let me repeat that, y'all. Thyatira is not, Philadelphia is Gemini. Thyatira is Apis the bull. Thyatira is Apis the bull. That's why it's associated with frankincense. Remember, you need the frankincense because the barn where the bull leaves smells so bad. You need the frankincense to relieve that odor. Okay? So you can read this more fully, okay, on your own. But we know that Thyatira is Taurus the bull because it's associated with offering frankincense to the deity. So Thyatira, the bull, Taurus, what's the attributes of Taurus the bull? Bulls are patient, right? Bulls are patient. You can walk with them. In fact, in India, where I'm at, I've actually seen people walking their bulls in the street, or they have their bull pulling a wagon. So some guys have their bulls. I've seen bulls dressed up like they have like some type of garments, cloths on the bull, and they're out walking the bull collecting donations. Really, collecting donations. So the bull is patient, right? Bulls are known for the work. They're very powerful, right? And what work do they do? You use bulls in agriculture, plow the field, right? Carry things. So you get more on the bull when you order 911 Ancient Ibaryath Rescue. The bull is actually one of the pictographs. It is the A pictograph. So you'll get the symbology, right? You'll be shown how to write the pictograph that's represented by a bull. You'll also learn its meaning, okay, its symbology, and you'll have some space to practice writing. So that's the book that I've been promoting, 911 Ibaryath Rescue. You can order that one on Amazon. Get the international edition. It's black and white. The color one is more expensive. Okay, so I'm promoting that black and white one. Okay, so now let's continue forward to Brotherly Love, which is Philadelphia, the congregation of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is known for brotherly love. This is Gemini. Okay, so Philadelphia is Gemini, the twins. Philadelphia is known for brotherly love. I think everybody knows that across the world, don't they? Next, we have Pergamus. Pergamus is known for height, elevation, and then it has here marriage of fire. So what is this relating us to? We look at height and elevation. I'm thinking the sun's highest point, right? Which is the zenith. Okay, so this would have to be what? The constellation where the sun reaches its highest point, its highest elevation in the sky. Okay, where the sun, the fire, reaches its highest point of elevation in the sky, which is the zenith, right? Which is the zenith. Okay, so what do we see here? What do we see here? We discussed this a couple live streams ago. Okay, so what do we see here? One, this constellation is Cancer. The sun reaches its zenith, its highest point in the sky, in the zodiac sign Cancer. But just below Cancer, I showed this too in an earlier live stream, a few live streams ago. You'll see Hydra. You'll see Hydra. Remember the snake, the dragon, also represented as a whale or Cetus. It's the largest constellation in the sky. Hydra is just below, the Hydra constellation is just below its head, rather. The head of Hydra is just below the constellation Cancer. Everybody see that? The head of Hydra, the snake or the dragon, is just below the constellation of Cancer. Okay, so we're talking what? June 21st. Now, the book says that the Hebrew name for Cancer is Thomas. I'm on page 92, y'all, if y'all want to go take a look at this. All right, so now we're going to revisit the Lazarus story that we opened up with. Okay, now, again, we're at June 21st. We're at the zenith, the sun's highest point in the sky. Now, if you look directly below you, you're going to see what? The winter solstice, December 21st, 22nd, okay? So what are you going to see? You're going to see Lazarus in the grave on what? December 22nd, December 23rd, December 24th, and December 25th. So when you are in the summer solstice, June 21st, the constellation Cancer, you look right down below, you'll see the head of Hydra, the serpent, Hydra, the dragon. Now you look down to the winter solstice, you're going to see Lazarus on December 25th, and you're going to see JC, the Christ figure, say to Lazarus, and who's in his tomb, Lazarus, come on out. Y'all see the connection of these two gospel stories? You'll see JC, the Christ figure, resurrect Lazarus. Lazarus, come on out. And then Lazarus comes out, and he's got on the whole story we talked about earlier. So what's the point of this? Why am I saying this? Because the verse goes on. Let me go back to the verse, all right? Give me 1 second. I want to show y'all. There's a reference to there's a reference to Satan or Balaam's ass. So let me show that. Let me go back to Revelation chapter 2, okay, so we can see this. So Balaam, of course, Satan would be what? That would be December 21st, 22nd. That would also be what? Hydra, the serpent's head, right? That's Satan, the devil. Okay, so now let's go back. Let's go and find our constellation Pergamus. Oh boy. All right, so here we go. Pergamum. Here we are. So to the angel of the church of Pergamum, right? These are the words of him who has the sharp, double-edged sword. I know where you live, where Satan has this throne. See, where Satan has his throne. Satan is Hydra. Y'all got that? Satan is Hydra. Okay, so he lives, Cancer lives where Satan has his throne. Everybody see that? So let me see if I can find an image of this. I know I got a PowerPoint with Hydra. So give me 1 second, y'all. Let me see if I can pull this up. If I can show y'all. So Hydra is what we're dealing with. Hydra would be what in Cancer? Hydra would be in the constellation Cancer. So give me a second. Let me try to find. Now remember, Hydra has 7 heads or 9 heads. I don't remember right now. But if you chop one head off, another head grows back. Everybody, y'all remember that story? We went through that. So let me show a picture of this dragon we call Hydra. All right. So everybody can see. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So this is the dragon in Revelation. Okay. Uh-oh. The dragon in Revelation. It's the multi-headed dragon in the book of Revelation. So here we are. Y'all see? Uh-oh. Give me 1 second. Let's see. All right. Let me show it. I'm going to try to find a better picture also that has Cancer in it. So there's Hydra. There's Hydra. Hydra is the devil, right? And this constellation Hydra, the constellation Hydra is just right below the tropic of, not the tropic, but it's just right below the constellation Cancer. Okay, so let me see if we can find it this way, so y'all can see it, everything in just one image. So hopefully we get it this. Oh, was that it? No. Let me see. Okay, so here's Hydra again, this big snake, but we need Cancer and Hydra, right? We need Cancer and Hydra. We need Cancer and Hydra. Where's Cancer and Hydra? Let's see, maybe this is, hopefully we can look at this one. All right, yeah, I see one. Okay, so it's not in color, but at least you can see it, okay, scholars? Not in colors, but at least you can see it. All right. So I'll point it out. So here is Cancer. Y'all see Cancer, the big crab right there. And here is Hydra. Y'all see Hydra where the cursor is? That's Hydra. Everybody see Hydra right here? This is the dragon's head. This is Hydra. See, take a look right here. It says Hydra. So here's Cancer. Here's the ecliptic. The ecliptic again is the SUN's orbit, right? Here's Cancer. Right below Cancer is Hydra. This is the devil, the seat of the devil. All right, this straight line right here, this is the equator, the celestial equator. All right, here's the dog we looked at last time. Remember the dog? All right, now here are the two twins, Gemini. Okay, here is Gemini. Everybody see that? Gemini, and then here's Leo the lion. But what we're focusing on is what? Cancer, and then right below Cancer is Hydra. Hydra. All right, now let's go back to Revelation so we can read that. All right, I'm glad I found that. I am glad I found that. So now when we read Revelation, we can go and make our correlations. All right, so Revelation chapter 2, we're back at Revelation chapter 2. So here we are, the church, the congregation of Pergamum, which is actually the constellation of Cancer. To the angel of the church of Pergamum, write, that is what zodiac? Cancer. These words of him These are the words of him who has the sharp, double-edged sword. I know where you live, where Satan has his throne. So y'all saw Satan's throne, right? Y'all saw his head right below Cancer. Cancer lives where Satan has his throne. Satan is Hydra, the constellation Hydra. Yet you remain true to my name. You do not denounce your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, so on and so on and so on. Right? Now let's continue. Verse 14. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you. These are some, brother, there are some among you who hold to the teaching of Balaam. So now what is the teaching of Balaam? The teaching of Balaam is what? A doctrine, right? It is a doctrine, right? A teaching is a doctrine. There are those among you who hold to the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to entice the Israelites to sin, so on and so forth. So the teachings of Balaam is a doctrine. So Balaam, this has what? Reference to Satan. Okay, Balaam's ass, y'all remember in the scripture, in the story. Everybody remember that? Balaam's ass. So Cancer in this case is Balaam's ass. All right. That's what the author writes on page 92. The author writes, quote, and here in the very same midst of the constellation, Cancer is Balaam's ass, who has found his way to the very highest place in heaven. That is the zenith, right? That is the zenith. Okay, that's the zenith. Who has found his way to the very highest place in heaven, and of course brought the doctrine, that is the doctrine of Balaam, with him. All right, so that's page 92. The fifth congregation is Sardis. The fifth congregation is Sardis. All right, so now let's look at the ammonium primitives. Let's look at the ammonium primitives of the word Sardis. We have Sar, and then we have dis. So the meaning of Sar, the primitive Zar, is rock, stone, or pillar. The meaning of dis is capital G-O-D. Okay, so now when you look at these words, their meaning in the Coptic Egyptian, when you look at the meaning of these same words in Coptic Egyptian or Phoenician Hebrew, what are you going to find? You're going to find the word El Eon, which means the sun, the being. Now, these words have been naturalized into Greek, Latin, French, and English, and the word is lion. Lion, you are correct. The lion of July, which is the lion of the tribe of Judah. Okay, the lion of the tribe of Judah. This is the lion of July. All right, the lion of July. So the author makes a point, and I'm going to make this point too, that the sun is the lamb of the tribe of Gad, G-O-D, or capital G-O-D, in March. Okay, so the lamb in March appears as a lion in July, the lion of the tribe of Judah. Now, this is a male lamb, a male lamb. So what is the characteristics of a male lion? Fierceness. Fierceness. So the author quotes Hosea chapter 8 to show this. And I'll read that quote. I will rend the call of their heart, and there I will devour them like a lion. So the fierce lion will devour. The fierce lion will eat you. That's violence, right? That's violence. All right, so now let's continue to our next congregation, number 6. Our next constellation is 6, which is the congregation of Smyrna. So let me see. So I see. So what's going on, y'all? I know. Okay, maybe they have them out of order. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the book has it out of order. They're out of order in the book. All right. We see the congregation or the Church of Smyrna, which is the constellation. Hold on. Smyrna. The constellation of Smyrna is the Virgin. The Virgin, of course, is the Virgo. Virgo is the constellation of August. Everybody see that? Virgo is the constellation of August. So how do we know this is referencing Virgo in August? It's because of this. The author says that this has to do with offering myrrh to the sun. Okay, so that offering was done for Virgo. And this is represented in Virgo. You know, Virgo is holding something in her hand. Okay, so the author is saying that's referencing that, the fragrant posse, which Virgo holds in her hand. Now, this is also referencing Isis, Omnia of Egypt. Okay, also referencing Isis, Omnia of Egypt, who holds a pail of milk in her hand. And it also references the Grecian deity Circes, from where we get church. It's also referencing Circes, where we get modern day church. All right, y'all keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So now, that's the 6 Smyrna. We're done with that. The 7th congregation. So let's read. Well, we don't need to read it. There was not too much to read in here. Let me see. So let's continue down to the last congregation, which is Laodicea. Where is Laodicea? Yeah, every time I see this word, I think of a friend of mine from when I grew up with, when I was in high school and then religion. Her name is Laodicea. Let's see. I knew her whole family. I don't know why I don't see it here. Hold on. Maybe it's on the next page. Hold on. Let me see. Y'all know I don't deal with the New Testament. It's been a while. I don't even reference it except for this stuff. All right, so here we are. Sardis, Philadelphia. Okay, here we are. Laodicea. Laodicea. That's how I remember this one. All right, so we're dealing with Laodicea or Laodicea now. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this discussion. So this is interesting. All right, so let me read this because now it's going to get a little bit complicated. And I want to give y'all everything. So let me turn to the document. But first, I'll read this. To the Church of Laodicea, to the angel, or it could be what? To the star or the angel, because the angel is the star. To the angel of the Church of Laodicea write. These are the words of the Amen. Now, y'all know that's a deity, right? This is the deity whose name is spelled Ammon, Amon, Amun. This is the Greek deity, all right? Regardless of what anybody says that's in Strong's, I've shown many, many times that Strong's has doctrine in it, okay? Strong's has doctrine in it. I've shown that many times in our Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Eastern Standard Time class. Y'all are invited. The link is in the description area of the video. So let's continue. These are the words of the deity whose name is spelled Amen. Now that gives it a whole different meaning and feel, doesn't it? The faithful and true witness, the ruler of capital God's creation. See, y'all, this is the sun. The sun rules, right? The stars rule their brightness. You need them for heat. Otherwise, things will freeze. Nothing can live. All right. 15. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. So when you say neither cold nor hot, you should be thinking what seasons are neither cold nor hot, right? Or what month is neither cold nor hot. All right. Think like that. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. All right, now let's go back to the document. Okay, there's a lot being said about this verse. And so now we're getting close to the really, really good stuff, y'all, that I want to share with you all about the blood of the covenant, right? About the blood of the covenant. Hey, what's going on? All right, y'all. So I'm having trouble sharing my screen again. So let me, hold on. Oh man. Okay. Let me pull the PDF up because I want to read this so you get everything. I don't want to miss any. Hold on. So let me close some of these. Well, I don't know what's going on, but my screen share is not. All right. My screen share is not showing. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me refresh my page, y'all. Give me 1 second, please. All right, y'all, I'm back. So let's try to get this together. All right. Hopefully it will work. No, still ain't that nothing. Well, let me close the document out and then I'll reopen it. It's important for me to show this so that there's no question about anything that I'm presenting to you all, okay? That's the point, so that there's no question, so that there's nothing anybody can say, right? So we're on page 93. We are on page 93, and I'm going to try to pull this document up. All right. So give me a second here. Y'all don't get discouraged. All right. We just got to roll with it until we get our own stuff. Until we get our own stuff, which will have to come from our investment in ourselves. We really can't do nothing about it. All right. And actually, neither can we get mad, right? Because you can do what they can do with whatever they want with their stuff. All right. And we know what kind of people they are. They don't respect law. And everybody knows that. So the only thing you can do is what? Defend yourself and protect yourself. And unfortunately, our people don't want to do that. So let me bring it up again. Wow, this is incredible. I wish y'all could see this so y'all would believe me. You know, if I told y'all that my screen share is disappearing, you wouldn't believe me unless you saw it. All right, so page 93. All right, so y'all should be able to see it now. Page 93. Page 93, we're almost there. There we are. Okay, so now, this is important enough for me, y'all, to read this, okay? So y'all follow along with me. All right, open up your PDF or your printed copy. You should have a printed copy if you've been coming here for longer than 1 or 2 weeks, right? You should have your printed copy right now. So now let's read this, okay? Let's begin. The seventh and the last of the summer months. We went through that, remember? 7 summer months, 5 wintry months. The seventh and the last of the summer months, that is, of the Asiatic churches, is Laodicea. So that sounds like what? September. September. That word, Laodicea, signifying, and then we see the Greek word, that is the just or righteous people. So now when we see just and we see righteous, and we're speaking about a month or a season, we should be thinking what? We should be thinking the scales, the balanced scales. Or in other words, the constellation Libra, the zodiac sign Libra. If you're thinking righteousness and justice or the just one, and you're talking about the equinoxes, of course, you would be thinking the vernal equinox and the autumn equinox. But here we're talking about what? A month. A month. So it is September. September, the balanced scales. Now in the US, they have scales of justice, but the scales are unbalanced. So symbolically, they're telling you that there's some evil, wicked gangsters, that there is no justice in the US. The scales are unbalanced, and it's unbalanced to benefit them. And you're not going to win when you go into their so-called court systems, right? Unless you know something about law and who you are. But anyway, let's get back on topic. All right, so now the scales of the balanced scales, all right, the just or righteous people living as you see in the scales of justice Libra, the balance or balanced scales of September, when the weather is neither hot nor cold, but lukewarm. Now, y'all should correlate this to the scripture that you find in Jubilees when it talks about which land is neither hot nor cold. Ham's land is hot. Which land is neither hot nor cold? Okay, make your correlation. It is what? It is then lukewarm. Well, how do you know? Because spring is not hot and spring is not cold. If you're in North America, very seldom does it get hot. Let's say like in India or like in Philippines, you don't experience that type of heat. In September, it's not hot, yet it's not cold. It's warm. All right. Or what's the other possibility? What's the other possibility? It could be multiple weather patterns, like in Peru. When I was in Peru, Peru had about 27 weather patterns. You go to Lima, certain part of the year, it's chilly. It's not cold. It's around in the 60s, but that's too cold for me, right? Another time of the year, Lima is nice and warm. Perfect for some people. Or you can go to the forest. You go to the forest and it's more hot. So it's neither hot nor cold. Why? Because it's both, but it's not the extreme. It's moderate. Moderate, warm, or moderate hot, which would be warm, right? Or cool, but it's never cold and it's never hot. All right, but that's off topic. But let's continue. September is not hot and it's not cold, right? It can be a little chilly. Okay, now let's continue reading. And these seven churches, that is the holy congregations, that means, or they are, that is, these seven constellations that are in Asia. Asia is the land of fire. Y'all got that? Asia is the land of fire. That means what? The land where the sun dominates. The land where the sun dominates. The sun dominates the 7 months beginning with March, ending with September. And then winter dominates, winter and darkness dominates beginning in October and ending in February. All right, so is it clear? The seven congregations of Asia, these would be the seven congregations, the seven churches, the seven constellations of the warm months of the year, the seven. All right, I hope that is clear. Now let's get into the big stuff. Now we're talking big stuff, okay? Now this is the big stuff. This is the big stuff. This is what's important to you right now, you Hebrew Israelite Christians and you Christians. Here we go. Page 93. I got to highlight this for you. So you can see that this is not DrYasapa. This is not DrYasapa. I'm going strictly from the book, The Devil's Pulpit, which is the foremost authority on astrotheology in the world to this day. To this day, this is the foremost, most complete, most accurate work on astrotheology at present and for the past almost 200 years. So let's begin dealing with the two covenants. The two covenants. So what are these two covenants? What are these two covenants? We're talking first about the natural phenomena, which is the astrotheology. All right. So the two covenants, meaning coming together, which means the two equinoctial points when the sun twice a year in its oblique march in its eclipse comes to the line of the equator as he does in spring about the 25th of March and in autumn about the 29th of March. Okay, the 29th of March is called Michaelmas Day. So let me show that real quick, y'all. Let's show it so everybody is clear on this critically important information, all right? Let's go ahead and show it. Now, hopefully you all are starting to see that this information repeats itself, right? Hopefully you're starting to notice that. The information is repetitive. And that's a good thing, right? Because that means it's easier to remember. Okay, all you got to do is put a little bit of work, well, not a little bit, you got to put a lot of work in up front, but then you will begin to see that you're using the same information over and over again, so it becomes much more easy. So here are your two equinoctial points. So one, this is the March equinox. Now in the book, and I trust the book says the March equinox comes on March 20, well, the spring equinox is March 25th. The autumn equinox, okay, according to the book, is September 29th. All right, so the dates are different. So I trust the book. So now let's continue. Let's do it again. It reads here, the two covenants. Now we're talking about the constellations or the churches that are in Asia. Okay, the two covenants, that is coming together, that is the two equinoctial points when the sun twice a year in its oblique that's oblique orbit, in its ecliptic, this is the yellow line, y'all. All right, that's what it is. in his oblique orbit in March, okay, comes to the line of the equator as he does in spring. Here it is right here, the spring equinox. All right, March 25th. Here they say March 21st. And in autumn, in the book it says March 29th. Here in the illustration, it says March 23rd. All right, September 23rd, September 29th, rather. September 29th is called Michaelmas Day. These two covenants, the vernal and the autumn equinoxes, are respectively the covenant of works. So that the covenant of works is the spring covenant, y'all. Why the covenant of works? Well, let's continue. These two covenants, the covenant of works in the spring and the covenant of grace in the fall, these are our equinoxes. Covenant of work in the spring, covenant of grace, or here we are right here, covenant of grace in the fall. All right? Listen, and these two covenants are respectively the covenant of works and the covenant of grace, because spring is a season for labor and cultivating the earth. Autumn is a season for gathering in and enjoying the fruits of labor. Quote. So let me go back. So now I'm going to switch away from this, y'all. All right. I'm going to switch away from this. And I want y'all to see this for yourself. So y'all know I'm not making it up. What you believe is what you believe. I don't have anything to do with what you believe. I'm giving you the information. All right. I'm just giving you the information. So now let's continue. Page 94. And I want y'all to see it for yourself. All right. See it for yourself. So we'll start at the top of the page. We'll start at the top of the page. All right. Quote, quote unquote, the one, says the astronomical hierophant, quote, is from Mount Sinai. That is the covenant from Mount Sinai. We're dealing with two covenants. The covenant from Mount Sinai, which grindeth to bondage, and answereth to Jerusalem, which is now, and is in bondage with her children. So the key astrological words are grind. Grinded to bondage. Well, that's a phrase, right? And then her little children. Grinded to bondage is referencing Taurus the bull. Her children is referencing the constellation Gemini. So now let's continue. That is, or this means that the vernal equinox, when that point was in Taurus the bull, was the time for putting the ox to the plow. And during the reign, that is the reign of Taurus the bull, that 2,500 years, when the sun passed over, after winter, when the sun passed over the line of the equator, it was passing over into Taurus. Now remember, today it passes over and we're in the constellation of what? Pisces, right? We're in the Pisces zodiac. But before, it was Taurus the bull. Now let's continue reading. All right. That is the vernal equinox. When that point was in Taurus, spring started in Taurus the bull, was the time for putting the ox to the plow. And during the reign of Taurus the bull, both of that constellation and the succeeding Gemini constellation, in other words, when Gemini was the constellation that began spring, the sun would pass over the celestial equator into Gemini. All right, this is what it's saying. So Gemini is her children. Mankind, her children, are under the covenant of works. And there can be no cessation of the labor of husbandry. So what is husbandry? That's agricultural work, right? Agricultural work. that you begin doing in the spring, so that you can have a good harvest in the fall, right? But now let's continue. But the covenant of grace, which is introduced by the fruitful mother of August, that is Liber, or liberty, free. This is the deity Bacchus, or the deity whose name is spelled Bacchus. This is the covenant of enjoyment, when the full ripened grapes, remember that, y'all, the full ripened grapes are to be put into agony. Remember, in the live stream that we did on this chapter, we looked up agony, and it means wine press, right? It's technical meaning for wine press. So when these full ripened grapes are put into agony, which is they are put into a wine press, and then they are what? The blood of the grape is squeezed out. Okay, so they are put in the wine press in the garden, and to squeeze out their precious blood, the precious blood of the grapes is squeezed out into a cup, the cup of fierceness, the cup of fury, the cup of fierceness of the fury of the wrath of the Almighty, capital God, and quote, all the ungodly of the earth shall drink it, end quote. So here, the blood of the grapes being squeezed out into the cup of fierceness, or the cup of fierceness of the fury of the wrath of capital God. All right. And then all of the unrighteousness shall drink it. Now let's continue. So who are the ungodly? Who are the ungodly? The ungodly of the earth are nothing more than the months, the wintry months, those miserable wintry months where the sun is humiliated, right? Remember, the sun is JC, the Christ figure, also the Father. The sun is humiliated, meaning the number of nighttime hours begin to increase and the number of daytime hours begin to decrease. So it's a humiliation for the sun, because there's nothing the sun can do about it, because it's governed by natural law. So the sun is powerless or humiliated to do anything about it. So this would be the month of October, November, December, January, and February. 5 months, right? October is Scorpio. Scorpio has a tail to sting and hurt the earth for 5 months. All right, these are the ungodly of the earth. Y'all got it? Darkness prevails, and wickedness and evilness, murder, theft, and everything else occurs in the darkness. Y'all got it? Now let's continue. During those 5 wintry months, all right, the sun is below the line of Gad. The line of Gad is the equator, okay, the celestial equator, and therefore the sun is in a state of inequity, a state of unevenness, which you can say is a state of what? Ungodliness or ungodliness. Y'all see the astronomical meaning here is quite evident. The lives of the men are preserved during these cold and cheerless or miserable months, and the absence of the sun is supplied to these men by the sun's blood, the essence of his virtue. So the sun's blood is the essence of the sun's virtue. The sun's concentrated wrath and heat, the sun's fury poured forth and corked up in bottles, that is, bottles of wine, to supply as occasion shall need a summer within us. Y'all see that? The heat from the sun bottled up in the wine, and you drink it now, it heats your body up. Okay? So the wine supplies us a summer within. And y'all know when you drink wine, it does make you feel warm, right? While all outside of our body is gloomy winter. Blood of the grape possesses the energy of the sun. The energy of the sun is in the blood, right? And the blood is the essence of the sun's virtue. Now let's continue. Thus does the sun annually give its blood for the life of the world. Thus does the sun, sun, annually give its blood. What blood? The blood of the grape. The energy of the sun, its essence and virtue is inside of that grape. Why? Because the grape needed to absorb the sun in order to grow. Y'all see that? Natural phenomenon. Thus does the sun annually give his blood for the life of the world, because during the wintry months, you get to drink the wine, right? The wine is going to keep you warm inside. It's going to give you the energy and the essence of the sun, although the number of sunlight or daylight hours are less than the nighttime hours. Y'all get that? This is the natural phenomena. This is what's happening with the seasons. Okay? Now let's continue. The author continues, okay? He says, that blood being pressed out of the grape in the wine press, right, in the agony, that blood being pressed out of the grape at the season of the vintage, which is indicated by the sun coming to the equator at the autumn equinox, when the sun gives an equal length of day and night, that is justice, righteousness, the whole earth, when the sun gives an equal length of day and night to the whole earth. And so is the physical emblem. So the sun is the physical emblem. This is the sun at the equinoxes when there's equal numbers of day and light. That's the physical emblem of moral righteousness. 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, physically in the world, right? That's what we see at the autumn equinoxes. That's concrete. Now, you can remix that and call it what? Moral righteousness. Moral righteousness. Y'all see that? That's concrete being converted into what? Into abstract. Concrete converted into abstract. You need to subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath, ZionLawSchool.org. We give you a complete understanding of concrete and abstract and how this is used to fool you, and then how you can use it to break the God spell. Again, let me read it again. And so is the physical emblem of moral righteousness. 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. That's called what? Righteousness, justice, the just one. This is natural. You see it March 21st, March 23rd, or March 25th. March 20, according to the illustration, March 21st. According to the book, March 25th. Spring equinox, vernal equinox, 12 hours of day and night. Autumn equinox, September 21st, according to the book. According to the illustration, September 29th, or Michaelmas Day, according to the book. Also 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. This is justice, equal number of days and nights. All right, this is equity. Remix that into the abstract, you get moral righteousness. The Gospels are all about morality. The Gospels are all about morality. Stated another way, the concrete natural phenomena has been converted into moral or ethical abstracts. I hope it's clear. Now let's get back to it. Having read what we've read so far, we're on the bottom of page 94. Let me scroll down. See, now we're getting into it, y'all. Now we're getting into it. So this can be difficult for some people, what we're about to get into, but it is what it is, y'all, right? It is what it is. All right. So this is where we were reading about the moral righteousness, y'all. So y'all read this paragraph. All right. If y'all want to go do over this again. So we're going to start here. The author writes, okay, so now, y'all, everything we read, okay, up until now, everything we discussed up until now, we have the secret of the invariable association of idea, which connects the blood of righteousness. Well, let me repeat that, which connects the blood. What blood? Which connects the blood and righteousness of Christ. That's the whole basis of the New Testament. Christ's blood and his righteousness. But what blood and what righteousness? Well, y'all should know or have a very good idea by now, right? What we're talking about. Let's continue. We have the secret of the invariable, let me repeat that. We have the secret of the association, or we have the secret of the idea of the blood and the righteousness of Christ. We know what it means, right? We know what these two things mean now. And as invariably designates that the blood, that is the blood of the covenant. Let me show this, all right? See, I want y'all to see this for yourself. It's more work for me, but I want you to see it for yourself because I'm interested in teaching you. All right, y'all see it? Okay, so it says here, it designates that the blood of what? The blood of the grape, right? The blood of the grapes, the wine. Let's continue reading. It designates that the blood as the blood of the covenant and the blood of the cross. Phrases as innocent, so let's skip down below that. So the blood of the grape is the blood of the covenant. What covenant? The covenant of work, the covenant of labor, which is the vernal equinox, and the covenant of grace, which is the autumn equinox, right? The blood of the covenant and the blood of the cross. Christ crucified. Remember the Southern Cross, the Southern Cross constellation I showed y'all that you can see in the Southern Hemisphere? Now let's continue. All right. The author talks about the astronomical key. The astronomical key, let me show you it. You see the astronomical key? What is he talking about, this astronomical key? The astronomical key, let's read. Next paragraph. The blood of the grape, which has been ripened by the heat of the sun and is to be pressed out, right? Remember, agony, wine press. The ripened grape that has been heated by the sun is to be pressed out at the time when the sun crosses or is crucified upon the line of righteousness, which is the equator. It is therefore by mytomai, the blood of the sun, the blood of the sun, the blood of Christ, the blood of the cross, and the blood of the covenant. Y'all see that? All physical phenomena. The blood of the cross, when the sun crosses, crosses below the equator in the fall. The sun is crucified. Right? Y'all see that? That's the astronomical or the natural phenomenon. Okay? Now let's get into the remix, the gospel remix, the gospel fairy tale, the gospel remix of this natural phenomena that we just discussed. Here it is, next paragraph. And thus the frightful story of the crucifixion of, that is the crucifixion of the Christ, is but an allegory, is but a fairy tale of the process of vintage. It is a fairy tale or made up story about the process of making wine. JC, the Christ figure, is nothing more than the same personification as the deity whose name is spelled Bacchus, the deity of wine. Quote, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost, end quote. JC tasted the vinegar, and it was vinegar. He tasted what he was given to drink, and it was vinegar, right? And then he gave up the ghost. He died. That's a quote from John chapter 14. No, that's not John chapter 14. Hold on, let's read that. Oh, shoot. Hold on, y'all. How long have we been going? Okay, give me 1 second. Let's look at that verse. All right, so everybody can see this. And I don't remember the Roman numeral. Okay, John. Oops, hold on. So let me look this up. Let me show it and we can read it. All right, so there's no question, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm showing you what the author has written and what the verses say. And scholars, you can do with it what you will, right? Oh my goodness. So I'm looking for the Bible verse. Hold on. All right, here we are. John 19. Excuse me. John 19. Somewhere in here. Let me search for vinegar and we'll read the verse. All right. All right. Okay. So John 19, verse 29. Well, let's start with 28. We'll do 28 and 29. No, we'll do 28 through 30. Later, knowing that everything had now been finished, and so that the scripture would be fulfilled, JC, the Christ figure, said, quote, "I am thirsty," end quote. A jar of wine vinegar was there. So they soaked a sponge in it, put the sponge on a stalk of hyssop plant, and lifted it to JC, the Christ figure's lips. When JC, the Christ figure, had received the drink, JC, the Christ figure, said, quote, "It is finished," end quote. With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit, or he gave up the ghost. All right, so now let's go back to it and get the physical or the astronomical meaning of that. All right, so here we are. We're back. Let's pull it up. All right, so here we see the Christ figure saying, "It is finished. The process is over. The life of the grape is done." Let me go back up. Let me go back up. So let's start here, y'all. And I'm just going to read this straight through so y'all can understand the process of wine making. Okay? So I don't want to miss anything. So we're going to start right here. And we're just going to read that whole paragraph. Quote, "And when JC therefore had tasted the vinegar, he said, 'It is finished.' And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost." John 19. What does this mean? It means nothing more than that when the sour or thinner wine comes out of the press, comes out of the wine press, which it does after the virtue of the grape is mainly drawn off. So in other words, you get the sweet wine first, right? That's what he's saying. And then after the sweet wine comes out, the sour wine comes out. So what do we know if we look at this, let's say from a chemistry point of view? The sweet wine appears to be heavier than the sour wine. So the sweet wine goes to the bottom of the vat and it comes out first, right? So the sour wine, because it's lighter, is at the top. That's all this is saying, all right? So let's continue, all right? So this means, that verse means nothing more than that when the sour or the thinner wine comes out of the press, the wine press, which it does after the virtue of the grape is mainly drawn off. That's the sweet wine. The fruit has sunk down in the press. The spirit evaporates. The vintner, I think that's the winemaker, the winemaker dipping his finger in the liquor or in the grape juice and licking it, perceives from its thinness and acidity that all the virtue is extracted and, quote, it is finished. The process is over. The life of the grape is gone. Y'all see that? And anything more that you can draw off by tapping the press will be mere blood and water, or it's just going to be vinegar, sour wine. Y'all got that? That's all it's saying. Now, I'm reading this straight from the book. So it's not me, it's straight from the book. So in the next paragraph, the author talks about the fact that the Christ figure and this whole story was plagiarized from the Hindu religion with Krishna, right? So Christianity is nothing but a remix of the story of Krishna, the Indian idol, 1,500 years before Christianity. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the chapter, the name of the chapter of this book, which is Raising the Devil. So what does this chapter mean? The author is saying here, this is in the next paragraph, by naming the chapter, the raising of the devil, okay, raising of the devil, what the author is saying is that he has shown that the devil is the same person as JC, the Christ figure. So he has raised the devil up to the level of the Christ figure because they're the same person. So he raised the devil, and now he has shown, he has proven, but it's up to you to decide whether or not the author has provided enough evidence to prove his case, because you have your own brain, you're responsible for yourself, right? But the author is saying that he has shown you that the devil, Satan the devil, and JC the Christ figure and the Father are the same person, right? So he raised the devil so that you can see him. You can see him and you can see them for who they really are. All right. So that's the meaning of the title, at least in my opinion, having read through all of this. That's my opinion. He's raised the devil so you can now see who the devil is. And the devil is JC, the Christ figure, and the Father of the New Testament. All right. He raised the devil to the level where you can see him by stripping away, by breaking the God spell that you've been under since birth. All right, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. I want to say thank you to everybody for spending your evening with us. And just as a reminder, if you would like to be a part of, experience the live. Uh, let me start from the beginning. Thank you for everybody for joining me here. Okay, I want to remind you, if you have not already subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, uh, please do so now. It will help you break the God spell more than you can imagine right now, more than you know right now. It is very important to you and to your family. All right, it is very important to you and your family. All of the concepts that we dealt with today that helped us raise the devil to the point where we can see him for who he is, you'll find that in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, the concepts of concrete and abstract, and how concrete is remixed into abstract to create what? To create fairy tale stories and doctrines, so that the apostles, also the Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences, what? So we're talking double tongues, we're talking charms, incantations, spells that have one meaning, which you know as doctrine, but then it has another meaning, which is astrological. This, my friends, scholars, this is called astrotheology. And the master key to cracking or breaking the God spell is Ancient Ibaryath. It is Ancient Ibaryath. That is the master key to breaking the God spell. All right. So y'all go ahead and subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. This is a streaming course. Cancel anytime. Don't forget also to support, if you have the money and you're interested, don't forget to support the promotion that I'm doing, which is not only the Ancient Ibaryath streaming course, which y'all can see it right here. Go to Zion Law School, all right? ZionLawSchool.org. But then also to support the book campaign, 911 Ibaryath Rescue. All right, would y'all be so good to do that? I've been putting the work in, giving y'all the business as best I can, as consistently as I am able. So if you like the way I teach, if you like the content, or if you just like me, right? If you feel this is necessary and beneficial to yourself, to your family, or to even the whole world, okay, consider making a contribution in the form of purchasing our books, such as the one you see on the screen right now, right? 911 Ancient Ibaryath, or 911 Ibaryath Rescue, rather, the international edition, or you can make a purchase of any of our other books. The links to all of our books are in the description area of this video, or you can make a cash donation to our Cash App, which is $DrYasapa, $DrYasapa. All right, it should be on the screen. Let me check. No, let me put the Cash App on the screen. All right, is the Cash App on the screen? All right, so let me stop the share. All right, so let me put the Cash App on the screen. So give me a second. I'm going to put our Cash App on the screen. So if you like what I do here, you like the way I teach, if you're benefiting from this, consider making a financial or cash donation, rather, $DrYasapa, or you can do it with our PayPal, right? Our PayPal is paypal.me@Zion Law School. Well, I enjoyed this, y'all. It went much longer than what I thought it would go. But I think we made it through it. There's a lot of details in what we presented. But the important thing is that we made it through. So go back and re-listen to this video 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, because the covenant of the New Testament is based upon grape juice, fermented grape juice, wine. All right. It is based upon fermented grape juice, not some man's blood, but wine, which is fermented grape juice. And there's a deity of wine. That deity's name is spelled Bacchus. This is the deity of wine. This is the deity who loves to party. He loves orgies, right? He loves wild orgies. This is the mythology of the deity of wine. His name is Bacchus. And if that's what you like, if you like getting drunk and having wild orgies, and if you want that for your wife, or if you want that for your husband, if you want that lifestyle for your son, for your daughter, for your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, if that's the kind of lifestyle you want, getting drunk and having wild orgies, well, continue doing what you're doing. But if you don't want that, get out of religion and return to nature, return to natural law. Return to the Most High, start following his instructions, which are at their essence simply natural law. Simply natural law. And you cannot go wrong in anything in life if you follow natural law. That should be obvious, right? I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School, Islam to all of the Moors, the 16 nations, and Shalawama to the entire house of Yasharallah. I'll see y'all tomorrow around the same time, around 8:30.